Welcome to the SowGrow Marketing Council podcast. The SowGrow Marketing Council is a membership organization comprised of growing marketers who want to stay ahead of developments in multiple areas of marketing. This podcast features recordings of SowGrow Marketing Council meetings. Tune in to hear expert marketers share tips and discuss the latest strategies and tools in marketing. To join the next meeting and be part of the discussion yourself, visit SowGrowPR.com. That's SowGrowPR.com and click on the Marketing Council tab. Let's get growing. Welcome to the SowGrow Marketing Council. We are excited today to have a panel of experts that we are going to hear from. And the way that this meeting is formatted is we have a group of expert level marketers share tips of what's going on in their particular marketing discipline. And the idea is that we often swim in our specific lanes of marketing, and it's helpful to know what's going on in different areas of marketing. So by gathering together different marketers from different areas of marketing, we're able to keep up to speed on all these different areas of marketing and be able to be better marketers as a result. And also, this is a great opportunity for you guys that are attending to just network with each other. These are my favorite marketers, and we get to know each other and we get to hear from each other and learn from everyone. And so I highly encourage you guys, put your name in chat, put your company in the chat, grab coffee with each other. I know we're from all over. We've got New Hampshire, we've got different places in Georgia, North Carolina. So, Zoom or just meeting in person, whatever you guys can do, I highly encourage it because it is a great group of people and I appreciate each and every one of you. So today we will have our presenters do a 4-minute tip and then we'll have time for discussion after that. And as I mentioned, your name is in the chat just to give you guys an order of who's going to go. And we'll start with Ryan Williams. And when you share your tip, just be sure to say your name and your company and your area of expertise. And that way we can get to know you. And then also the people that are listening on the podcast and YouTube can also get to know you and maybe even follow up with you or follow you on social media after this. So we will do that. And then if you guys are interested in attending an event in the future, I'm going to put the link in the chat. And we also have a Google Calendar, so you can just go ahead and add all the events on your calendar. We meet the third Tuesday of the month at 10 a.m. Eastern, and we log on 9:50 just to settle in and network a little bit. And then if you would like to present a tip in the future, there is also a link in the chat. And it's SowGrowPR.com/submit. And that's SowGrowPR.com/SUBMIT. And that way, if you want to present in a future meeting, you just submit the tips there and then we approve them and let you know you're good to go to present at the next meeting. And then also please follow us on our podcast and our YouTube channel. We've got great tips going back from many, many years and months ago. So definitely check those out because there's some really, really good content and information on there. So welcome everybody, excited to have you guys. And we are going to start off with Ryan and then we'll go to Justin and we're excited to hear your tip, Ryan. So kick us off.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Ryan Williams of WebSuasion. I specialize in search engine optimization, heavy on research and data-driven decisions with that. So we do a pretty heavy research part of that. But today I'm actually going to be talking about a very niche specific part of SEO, which has kind of been around for a while, but has really kind of had a resurgence lately, and that is schema data. Raise your hands if you've heard of schema data. Kristen has. Mickey has. Yep, cool. So a few of you. So schema data has been around since like 2011. Basically, you can think of it sort of like a little spreadsheet of data that you can embed in every page of a website, and that can be different for every page of a website. It's been around for a long time, and it really kind of came into favor in about 2014 when Google started using it a little bit for some of its knowledge panels and other features. So we'd start using that in SEO to be able to get our clients into that knowledge panel so that when they're searched for their brand, they would show up. But that was kind of the limitation of it until voice search and ChatGPT and all of this AI search started coming in. So one of the things it's important to understand about AI search especially, but true of voice search too, is it's not really reinventing search. There's nothing new about it. It's still using the same old search engines that we use on a daily basis. The difference is there's another agent sitting between the person doing the search and the results. So that means that we need to try to give the AI agent as much context as we can so that when it retrieves the search engine results, that it can evaluate, it's going to basically knowing what it knows about the searcher or the person asking the question, and in ChatGPT's case, it's going to take into consideration the context. So it's going to see these results and it's going to go, okay, out of the first 10 results on this page, which one is best to tell them more about in this context? One of the ways we can influence that is with that schema data. So typically schema data is pretty lean. Like it will say things like, this is an article and this is an article about this, and maybe it's connected to these other articles. But it doesn't really typically tell a lot about the company and what the company's all about. So when we're doing content marketing, we want to be really sure that we put as much robust information on every single page of the site in context to that content as possible. And what this does, it allows the search engine or the chat agent in this case, or the voice agent to look at those results and then take into consideration any schema data on each of those pages before it presents its findings basically to the user. So you kind of have like a smart middleman doing your search for you. It's like let me Google that for you. Often it's Bing actually that's being used in the background for a lot of things. Google is being used as well. But so we want to make sure that we're showing up in those search engines first, and then we want to have that robust information on top of that. And some of the stuff that we'll add will be like service area. Like I do a lot of service oriented businesses, so it'll be service areas, especially since I'll do a lot of construction, for instance, and when we're integrating with like the Google map and just organic results, my clients typically where they're located, where their headquarters is not their service area necessarily, or it's not necessary to the service area. They don't have people coming to their location. So the map really only knows about that location. What I can do is do case studies to where we're featuring those local service areas, and we can put a lot of context in there, like, what press releases have we done? What's some more information about the client? What are the services we provided for that client? Stuff that you might not necessarily might feel a little clunky to put into the actual content on the page. We can put it into this like little mini database on each page to give extra context. So that's the idea behind schema data.
That's really interesting, Ryan. So, in terms of basic information like a service provider near me and locations and things like that, it sounds like that's pretty straightforward. How does this impact something like thought leadership or education or something that's a little bit deeper than just basic facts?
Well, a lot of times you have basically like the way I define it is pillars and clusters of content. So your pillars are your main things. So if you're a consultant, for instance, you're going to talk about like 4 or 5 main topics that book your events around or whatever that might be. But then when you're doing your content, your blog posts and things like that, you may get into very fringe, like long tail topics. So what that schema data can do is orient that topic around what those pillars are so that the search engine, like Google AI search, for instance, and ChatGPT or Amazon voice search, those can have understandings of what really this, you know, person is actually about. So it can provide more context in that way. And it can also provide other posts and things like that that are related.
Yeah, that sounds really helpful. Thoughts and questions for Ryan?
I've got a quick question about it, Ryan. Just as so much of a SEO for each page involves using your keyword strategy within the content on the site, but using it in a lot, a not stuffing the content. So is that a line that you don't want to cross with schema as well? And is it schema kind of like a meta description? It doesn't have to have the text in the schema content. Does it have to be reflected in the on-site text?
There's not a lot of data to say that it's bad to put a bunch of information in there, but I think what you want to do is keep in mind you don't want to confuse the agent. So if it's relevant to the topic and it's not something that a search engine would be able to intuit from that, then it's absolutely relevant to put in that schema data. So if the point of me making this really long tail blog post is really to get people to my pillar topic and it's not absolutely obvious in the content, or it can't be made obvious in the content, then even though it seems unrelated by like a Google crawl, like if you added that content to the page, it might seem weird or out of topic, but it's absolutely, in context with the schema data.
It's
So
great.
there's no penalty for that.
Mickey, you had your hand raised. You had a thought or
Yeah.
question?
Yeah, just a quick question. So just more of a technical question. So we're a WordPress shop. We do everything WordPress.
Mhm.
We've used SEO Press as our SEO plugin for years. It seems solid. It has schema tools built in. I'm curious if there's something different you'd recommend for that.
I have not found a plugin that does schema well enough for me to just like automate it like that. Even the AI, some
Well, I
of
don't
the
mean to automate, but just something to help us do it. Yeah.
I typically, to be honest, use Claude or ChatGPT to build the initial things. So what I'll often do is collect all my client information, all of their primary keywords, all of that kind of stuff, even down to like hours of business, service areas, or primary products, all of that stuff, and put it into ChatGPT and say, build me a schema off this. And then I will build multi-layered schema. So it'll be what is the article about? That'll be a schema set in itself. And then what is the client? Are they in financial services or whatever it might be? And then list everything relevant under that. So you might have multiple tiers, like a graph essentially of content on every page, and it will just change based on the content text.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Great. Awesome. Very good. That's helpful information to know. It sounds like there's a lot happening in that area. So I appreciate you bringing that to us. All right, we're going to jump to Justin and then Mickey. Justin, would you like to introduce yourself and share your tip today? Oh, let's unmute you.
You're muted.
Thanks, Ryan, for that tip. My name is Justin Rubner. I'm a marketing VP in the B2B SaaS space. And while Ryan drilled down, I'm gonna go back out for a little bit. I've gotten this question, this problem a lot in my career, and that is you find marketing results starting to slip, maybe pipelines starting to slip, and the inevitable question comes up: what are some quick hit things that we can do to improve marketing conversion rates and potentially sales conversion rates? And I thought about, five things that most companies can do regardless of their situation. And here they are. Number one is, optimize your landing pages. It is your CTA instantly viewable? Is it, most importantly, does your message actually align with your ad? I see this all the time, especially with B2Bs, is we automate so much of this stuff that we forget about the human element. And if someone clicks on an ad, they have to make sure that your landing page is not only aligned, but that it carries the message of the ad deeper. So this is very important. I see this so much that these landing pages are just so automated that we forget to add the message and the copy in there. And then finally, is there too much visual clutter? There are a lot of tools that you can use to optimize your landing pages. If you use HubSpot, they have a great tool. I've used Unbounce a couple of times. It's pretty user friendly. Second is in the SEO realm, and that is showing up more on zero-click results. Sometimes we put so much effort into the creative side of our copy and the technical side of our SEO that we forget that there's one very easy way to have a better chance of showing up on zero click, and that is having Q&A content on your key pages. And there's actually a lot of really cool tools that are quite amazing at doing this by looking at search queries. Rival Flow is a really good one, and it will actually help you write some of this Q&A content. And all you have to do is edit it for context, and you'll have a better chance of showing up on zero click with that with very little effort. Thirdly is looking at your email nurture tracks. I like to look at the worst ones and the best ones as far as, and I don't look at open rates, looking at ultimately click-through rate, or you can go even deeper, but whatever metric you use, consider looking at your best ones and your worst ones and taking lessons from your best ones and looking at, does this message resonate? Um, is it compelling? Is it a singular message? Are you trying to throw too much stuff out there? And lastly, or two more things, is it aesthetically appealing? And are your lists actually accurate? That's a problem a lot of the times is your list can get inaccurate. So that's a relatively quick hit way to improve the conversion potential of something that we often forget about, set and forget, our email nurture tracks. Same concept with your ads. Look at your best performing and your worst performing ads out there, both display and search. And look at your best ones. Why are they performing? And your worst ones, why are they not performing? Is the message compelling? Is it singular? And does it actually follow through to a landing page that is simpatico with your ad? And this is so important because we're paying for these ads. You're paying for these ads. And, would you ask yourself your question? Would you click on these ads? And these are some really quick hit things that you can do on your ads that won't require a whole lot of work. And then lastly, this may seem like common sense, but collaboration can easily fall through the cracks, but making sure that you're working with your sales team more often and quicker, and making sure that they know how this particular lead got to them. And you'll see much better results if you make sure that you're doing this on a regular basis. Anyways, hope that helps. I've run into this question in a marketing meeting so many times in my life, and I always thought that these 5 tips were relatively helpful in improving conversion rates.
That's great, Justin. I think that's helpful too to look at the worst and the best. Do you have any suggestions as far as, generally your team or you created the content, so it's kind of hard to get outside of your own head and look at it objectively. Do you have any way to make sure you're saying, okay, this is my worst, this is my best, but what's actually working with this one and not this one, and how to identify those things when it may be something that you created or your team created or
It's
that's
a
just
guess,
you?
right? It's always a guess, but if you have email nurture tracks or ads that have not been working over a period of time, it's clear it's not going to work in the future. So at the very least, taking a chance and rolling the dice on a particular message point that tends to work in other marketing channels can only make sense. But if it's not working, why keep it there? Why
Yeah.
keep it there? Why
Yeah.
keep it rolling? I mean, email nurture is free, but it's wasting time and you're paying for these ads. So might as well use a singular message. So important. You can't have 5 messages in one piece of content. A singular message, and experiment at the very least. But I'm not aware of any magic formula that can determine what's going to work other than just experience and seeing what works and what doesn't. And you can always borrow it. You can always borrow from the good performing ones and tweak it slightly.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of email, Yana Tori, welcome. We're glad to have you. She's our email marketing expert. Yana Tori, please put your information in the chat. Y'all grab Yana Tori's information. She will help you with email deliverability. So awesome. Any other thoughts or questions for Justin?
I just wanted to add to what Justin said. The FAQ stuff is absolutely critical. I totally agree. And as I was talking about schema earlier, you can nest that FAQ information into your schema as well. That's very helpful. So thanks for mentioning that. And I haven't ever heard of the arrival flow, so I'll check that out. Thank you.
Awesome. Helpful. Thank you for that information, Justin. We appreciate it. All right, we've got Mickey Mellon. You can introduce yourself and your tip, and then we'll go to Kristen.
Cool. So yeah, Mickey Mellon with Green Melon Media. My business partner is Allie Green. Some Allie, that's the Green Melon came out there. Couple quick thoughts today related to AI. One is a bit of encouragement on when to use AI and when you shouldn't, and then some thoughts that might change your framing a little bit. A problem I see is a lot of people are using AI to replace their thinking so they can go do the labor themselves, which seems kind of opposite. I heard Chris Do on a podcast. I don't know if you've ever followed Chris Do stuff. He has some pretty interesting stuff. I'm going to share a quote he said on the podcast that kind of summed this up well for me. He said, quote, "You're going to have the machine do all the thinking for you so you can do the labor. You have this opposite, friends. Humans should do the thinking. The machine should do the labor. So you're kind of giving up. You're saying, I don't want to think anymore. I just want to be hands. And you're quickening the speed in which we reach the matrix where we're all just human batteries. Now that was interesting because I do see that a lot where people are like, I'll let them do the thinking and I'll go do all the work. And we should try to flip that as much as we can. I know we're all different in what we like to do. I know in the case of myself and Allie, we both didn't love doing the work. Like she's a brilliant designer, but never liked it. And so we're happy to get out of the work. And at this point, we have humans doing it for us, but it's kind of nice to see that. But if you love doing the work, then that's kind of a different angle there. But just be conscious of that. I think too many people default to let it do the thinking, I'll go knock it out, and maybe it should be reversed. And then the other one I heard, this was from the My First Million podcast, excellent show, about using AI to, I guess the problem we see is people saying like they're just using AI to do it for them, to create things when humans should be creating it. But a lot of things we're not able to create. Like if I want to do this beautiful artwork I have in my head, I can't do it. I'm not Kristen. Like I can't design things, but I could use AI to help get it out. And so I'll read a quote from them, and I'm going to show a quick example of that I thought was brilliant. On the show, they said, the problem right now is that whatever creative ideas we have in our head are limited in terms of how we can manifest them based on our emerging skill set. So Sean could have a song in his head right now that he may be composing things in his head, but until he learns the mechanics of how to play an instrument, whatever the instrument happens to be, there's no real way to manifest that. We can't tap into his brain and do it. So in my mind, AI actually increases creativity because it will increase the percentage of ideas that people have in their heads that they will then be able to manifest regardless of what their skills are or not. And I love that. Now that was fantastic. And I've seen a lot of good examples of that. I'll show a quick clip from a movie a guy made called The Colorless Man. I don't know if you've seen this. It's like a 13-minute thing. I won't show the whole thing. But it's brilliant because, well, one, I'll read something he wrote with his description. He said, based on estimates from other producers and filmmakers, a film like this would typically cost between $300,000 and $500,000 without AI, depending on the scale. It would require about 70 people and 2 months of work. Thanks to AI, this would reduce to one person, $600, and 2 weeks of non-continuous work. So this guy had this great idea in his head for, I don't know, days, weeks, decades, whatever it is. And thanks to AI, he was able to get it out. And I'm going to show you just a quick clip of it. It was, the idea of this is when in the 1960s, have you ever seen the clips where they turned on the color TV? They'd be in the black and white newscast, say, here we go, we're going to start going color, 3, 2, 1. And he's like, well, what if one of the guys didn't actually go to color? He stayed black and white. So here's just a quick bit from this. It's just a brilliant idea. I assume you can see that, hopefully hear it.
Is there sound? We can't hear this.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was wondering if you could hear it. Let's see. Sorry about that. Let me try again. Maybe we need to share the window instead. Share sound. My bad.
All right, Mickey, so we can't hear you now. Let's see if there's sound on the video. Okay, there you are. We hear you. Let's see if we can hear it.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to hear the video.
Oh.
Yeah. It's gonna make me restart Zoom to do that. So I don't think it's gonna work. But that's okay. I'll put a link to it in chat. You can check it out. The idea is this is something I saw that this guy presumably had this idea in his head forever, and it would have been unreasonable to create, before. And now he's like, I can get this out. And I've seen tons of videos and songs and artwork. And again, people get down on they're using AI to produce this stuff for them when humans should do it. And again, I kind of said the opposite a minute ago. So it is an interesting place to be. But I love this video just because the movie itself is cute. It's fine. I mean, you don't have to watch it, but it's 12 minutes worthwhile. But just the thought of he had this idea in his head for so long and couldn't do it. And now for $600, and he said a couple weeks just here and there. It wasn't like he devoted full time. He was able to create this. And there are things I'm sure we all have in our heads that, gosh, I wish someone would make this movie or this app or this Chrome extension. Like you can do it now. Like I've had ideas for like Chrome extensions over the years that now I'm starting to play with. Like maybe I should do this because I don't know how to write a Chrome extension, but Claude does. Like it could do it pretty well, or different apps for that. So that's just my thought. My encouragement is, don't let AI take the thinking away, but use it to get more of your thinking into the real world that you might not be able to otherwise do. So yeah.
Right. That's so fun. We're all becoming so powerful now. My 9-year-old gave me a hard time because I write a poem for my kids for each of their birthdays and read it to them. And it's just about them and how much we love them and all this stuff. And my son had a song that he loved at the time. And so I rewrote it to the song, but I'm not musical. And so to keep the rhythm of it and not just the words rhyming, I needed a little bit of help. And so I used ChatGPT, not necessarily come up with the words, but to come up with the structure of it. and replace it. And he gave me a hard time about it. And I was like, hey, I came up with the words. I wrote it. I needed some help. And, it's definitely interesting to see how people use it.
Yeah, that's a perfect use case too. I love that. Yeah.
Thoughts and questions for Mickey?
Yeah, I guess, Mickey, what's the warning sign that you're doing that too much? It seems like an easy trap to fall into. I mean, as you're saying that, I'm thinking through, and I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. But then I'm like, how do it seems to be how we're using it today, at least. I would say taught, but no one's really been taught. We're all figuring it out ourselves right now. Um, what's a warning flag that, hey, we need to rethink how you're implementing AI in this context?
Yeah, I think if you're not willing to see it through, I think also in that show one of the guys talked about a video game idea he had, and so he spent some weeks and got it well along the way. And he's like, it's too much work. Like I got it this far, but it's gonna be a lot to get it the rest of the way. So if you keep spinning things up and spinning them down, that could be problematic. I think back to the heyday of blogging and Google AdSense and stuff back in like the 2008 thing. I was firing up new blogs like every week with new ideas to try to write posts and make money from. And again, because I never actually committed to any of those, really, none of them did much of anything. And so I think that could be the concern I'd have. It's like, I have this idea, and let's just do all the ideas, and none of them actually do. But if you have, again, like the colorless man here, which I put the YouTube in the chat, I think that's good because he actually devoted and saw it through and published it, and it was pretty cool. So that's my one thought, but others may have other ideas there too.
Mickey, actually, Richard, you might have some input on this. What's the IP concerns around that?
Yeah, I'd love to hear Richard there.
IP concerns abound. First of all, the law is wrestling with what the ramifications of AI are in the world, and especially when it comes to you're borrowing from others to begin using it, and often you don't know that you're borrowing from them. I think there's going to be a type of fair use that's going to be acknowledged throughout the world, especially if I don't purposely go to your information, Ryan, and pull it from you and then take it, as opposed to AI sort of gave, whether the information is text or an image or a video or whatever, taking this creative thing from you without knowing it. I think it's going to be viewed as an okay thing over time. But as of right now, I'd be super, super cautious. AI is getting better about letting you know where things are taken from. I would do a very quick glance to make sure it wasn't a total copy paste, that there is something new to the extent you're able to add your own creative element to it. And what I mean by that is often with images and video, it's hard to edit to make it different. But to the extent you're able to put your own creative bent to it, please do that. Copyright is what we're dealing with primarily, and it primarily protects the expression of an idea and not the idea itself. So the mere fact that I'm writing about the same thing that you, Ryan, wrote about is fine. The fact that I'm borrowing all of your words or copying and pasting all of your words, that's where you cross the line. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's kind of what we're struggling with.
I'm curious if there's going to be something like in the pattern world, you have to have like 3 major changes to be able to alter a pattern because so much of it's so basic anyways. Like if you're making a pair of pants, right? Like how do you make it different enough? So I wonder if there's going to be something like that where it's like it has to be this percentage different or this percentage of original content or something like that. I'm sorry, Mickey, did you have a thought you were?
I was just going to say too, yeah, those of you that use Cloudflare is kind of like a firewall you can put in front of your website. It's kind of a loose way to put it. But they've now turned on by default, if you use Cloudflare, it blocks all the AI agents from getting your site, which that's kind of a different conversation, which I don't like that. I kind of want my clients to show up in AI, but I like what they're doing. They're trying to get enough blocked, and then they're going to say, all right, ChatGPT, if you want to crawl this stuff and use it, you can pay us, and then we will pay all these people. And so you can decide whether or not they can crawl your content, and you can get paid for then crawling your content. I don't know that the math will ever work out well enough where I let them get my whole blog I write every day and I make 37 cents a month. I mean, I don't think the math will work, but I like the idea. And that'll be an interesting angle too, where if you're getting paid to submit your stuff in there, then I guess, Richard, I would sort of be giving up the copyright to it to some degree at that point too, if I'm getting paid to give it in there. So that may sort of solve some of it, but I'm just not sure the math will work out. But I do like Cloudflare's attempt there, and I support them in that, again, even though I'm turning it off on all of our clients because I want them to show up in the results to be found. But yeah.
Right.
It's the Wild West with AI right now. It's so fun to be in this era and watching all this happening. All right, so let's jump to Kristen and then we'll do Sherry. Kristen, you want to introduce yourself and share your tip today?
Good morning. I'm Kristen Sellier, president of ID8. We are a specialized branding agency, and I want to talk about sales, which is probably odd, but I will say that almost all of our clients right now are suffering from soft sales or slow sales due to a variety of of things. And so what I wanted to share with you was some successes that we've had with our clients and helping them support their sales team. So number one is that we start with research. I have talked to a lot of salespeople over the last 25 years, and what I see in sales teams is they're all saying their own thing. So they're not saying the same, they're not saying we have the same brand position. There is not clarity across the board. If there's 10 different salespeople, they're each a cowboy, if you will, and saying whatever they think is what the company stands for. So doing the research, engaging with a branding professional to come up with a consistent brand position and then reusing that, restating it is really important just to have that salient brand position. This is how we stand up against our competition. This is what our culture is, and this is how we can win. That brand position is really important. And it's very difficult to do that internally. So, encouraging your clients to engage with a professional to do that, to have that outside perspective, being able to look inside and gather the information to come up with that. So that's number one. I think the percentage is that over 70% of frontline employees do not know what the company actually stands for. If you ask them what the brand position, they'll all say different things because no one knows it. So number two is sales training the sales team on what the brand position is. They're not, in giving them that information is not going to be sufficient. It's from the top leadership down, having a training program that the leadership and the management goes through to train the entire team so that everyone understands the why. They understand why they're important to the organization. They understand the benefit to them. And then they also understand the benefit they provide externally is important. So sales training is huge. We don't do sales training here. We have engaged for our own team. We've engaged Jeff Bartholomew to do sales training for our team because you never know what employee within the company can do sales, from the front admin to a bookkeeper to an art director, creative director. We have done company-wide training on sales. So I encourage my clients to do the same thing. As sales training is really important. And most salespeople have not had training. So they're out there winging it, being a cowboy, doing whatever they think is right and what worked the last time, and then doubling down on that. The fourth item, it takes 7 to 11 touches to close a sales deal. Most salespeople give up after number one, number two, number three, and by the time you get to the fourth touch, almost all salespeople have given up at that point. But it takes consistency. So again, this goes back to the sales training piece of it. 7 to 11 touches. I learned that from Wendy Kinney. I was in PowerCore for over 10 years, and that was something that she said in referral marketing, and I continue to use that today, knowing that you won't bother people, annoy them. Everyone is busy. Think about it. We are all the hero of our own story. Every single one of us. We're thinking about what we're going through. We're not thinking about what they're going through. So 7 of the 11 touches, they may have been busy. They could have been sick. They could have had a sick child. They could be on vacation. They could be moving. We don't know. But it's important to stay in touch with them if you want to close the sale. And then the fourth is having a sales pitch deck that's modular. We've been creating a bunch of those this year for our clients. And so they have a variety of audiences that they're meeting with. And so having a modular sales presentation that the team can say, oh, I'm going to add this part, take out this part, is important. So the sales team has a tool that's going to work for them. Those sales pitch decks should not be 40 pages long. They should be 10 pages or less. And they should not inundate people with information. They should be all about the pain that the person they're meeting with is experiencing. The only reason people make change is they are experiencing pain, or make a decision is they are experiencing pain, or they can see the pain is coming. Like all of us know AI is happening, right? And it's going to impact the marketing advertising industry significantly. And so embracing it and working on it and seeing that coming, I guarantee we're all focused on how can we utilize AI? How should we not be utilizing AI? How can we teach our clients to use AI? And so we all see that coming, and I bet we're all, thinking about AI and trying to come up with that. So I just wanted to, say that today. This is more from years of experience of owning a business and having to go from not ever wanting to sell to being trained on sales and knowing that I have to sell. And going from thinking of sales as a used car salesman, and my husband is in used car sales, so I can say that without offending anyone. This is just my encouragement, empowerment to all of you, and then for you to pass on to your customers and open it up to, are you guys seeing the same things with your clients? Are your clients experiencing slow and sluggish sales? And are they having to work harder now than ever to make a sale? And if so, some of these tips might help them. And that's my tip for today.
That's so good, Kristen. And I feel like you're talking about sales training is very, infrequent. Like a lot of people just don't even get sales training. And when they do, it's not about branding. It's about how to close a deal. It's about how to overcome objections. It's about communication and those kinds of things. And so to include the branding in that, I think is so important. I think that should be in every sales training program ever. Justin, you raise your hand. You have a thought?
I do, yeah, and thanks for those observations and tips, Kristen. As far as I agree with everything you said, particularly the 7 to 11 touch points, and I've struggled with this myself with leads that my team brings in, and seeing the cooler leads not get the love and attention that they deserve, and instead the sales team focusing on the hot ones. Um, any any experience encouraging these sales teams to put more aggression into the cooler leads, to have 7 touch points as opposed to 1 or 2? Because I would imagine that their mentality is, I have to work too hard for that, and the hotter leads are going to yield much better conversion potential for me. And cool leads may just have downloaded some ebook, and I'm not going to waste my time with them. Any experience with your clients on actually getting them to be more aggressive on this? Carrot, stick, don't know, because it's a struggle, I think, for a lot of marketers, particularly the B2B world.
What really works is telling them this data, and that most other salespeople give up. So it's just them with the client. Once you get to 7 and 11, it's pretty much just you and the client. I mean, if they want to win and they're competitive, this is the way to win. The other piece, I think the easier is that it doesn't have to be a lengthy email each time. It can be a phone call. One touch point can be a phone call. One touch point can be a text. They can find an article that is interesting to their client's industry or service and share that with them. They can stop by if they're in the location. So I would say mix it up with all different types of communication to determine the customer's preferred format for communication. And usually the way the customer responds is their preferred format. So if they reply to you with a phone call or with an email or with a text, that's how they want to be communicated with. And so then once you learn their method of communication, use that channel versus any other. And then it's not about selling, it's about educating, informing, and helping them. So a lot of the messages aren't aggressive. They're really about, hey, I thought you might want to hear this. I saw this. This might be important to your business. Did you know this? And so it's more relationship building than anything. And I've had, these 7 to 11 touch points happen in a very short time period, in less than a month. I've exceeded 11 in like a 2-year time period, and then had companies come back and hire us for that project and more. So it's really a marathon, and most people give up after 100 meters. And so if your salespeople know that they're more likely to win if they hang in there and they, have a system, I call it our sales funnel. These are the things that you do, and then you just pick one and do that one today, and then pick one and do this one the next time. That seems to work for me and my team.
That's so good. And this is a hot topic because we had lots of hands. So we'll go to Monica, Mickey, and Susan. And then I want to save some time for Sherry to offer her tip as well. So hot topic, Kristen. Monica, you had a thought?
Hi, yes. First off, Kristen, I think I'm going to just hire you or take a snippet out of that first point you made, because you just made selling my services so much easier, because you basically describe what I do. And it's exactly why you want an outside consultant sometimes, to step in and take a look at your brand and do a brand health check and sort of assess where it's coming from. So the way you summarize that, I am literally going to take it with your permission and just say, this is what Kristen says. You should
Use
listen to
it.
her. She
Absolutely.
knows what she's talking about. I will say, I think, I mean, I agree absolutely. The brand standpoint is crucial, but I would like to also make a point for the sort of bottom up brand input. A lot of times I find sales teams, in my experience, have not been involved in the brand development and in the sort of establishment of what a brand is for a specific company. And that's unfortunate because as frustrating as it can be sometimes to work with sales teams, they are the ones that have the most direct contact with your customers and with your target audiences. So they will be the first ones very unapologetically to tell you our brand is not where it should be because this is what our clients are struggling for, and this is what they're these are the pains we need to address, and how are we addressing that? And so I think top down training for sales teams and beyond that, even for customer service, even product marketing and product designers are essential. But I would argue also that the opposite direction is just as important. And to keep that sort of loop of communication always open. Like you said, there was also you mentioned something about, what type of outreach is working best, and, what type of methodology is working best when you get to that 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th touch point, and sort of compiling that and creating systems that can feed back into your brand and marketing strategies. I think kind of including sales as part of that brand and marketing development is absolutely crucial. In my experience, has made huge differences. It's a longer game. Certainly, these are not quick fixes, but I think that is something that people often overlook when they're wondering, well, why aren't our sales hitting the targets we set for them?
That's so true, Monica. That's such a good point. Making sure that sales is involved because, like you said, they know their boots on the ground. Mickey, and then Susan.
Yeah, and I'll try to keep this quick. So yeah, I know we have a lot here. I thought it's interesting, yeah, either Stephanie or Sarah, the way you line these up, not knowing what the tips were. They all kind of have such a great through line here. Because Kristen's talking about solid brand positioning, I think has been important for a long time. I think is so important now. Like Justin talked about zero-click results, and we're seeing zero-click results in Google, but also like on social media, where you can't really put a link in social media anymore. So you have to have that good branding that goes through to show up everywhere. So I think I encourage you all to look for a company like ID8. I mean, Kristen and her team do just ridiculously good branding, and it's just becoming that much more important where you can't count on the clicks and stuff anymore. You got to just have that brand out there. They'll see you here, and they'll see you here, and they'll see you here, and then they'll go search for you. And then to Ryan's point, make sure your schema and stuff's in place. When they search for you, it all comes up. So it all kind of ties together, largely thanks to the chaos that AI is causing on things. So yeah, keep that brand going. Love it, Kristen. That was great.
And Mickey, I think that naturally happens with this group, and that's why we love this group because we all have a piece of the marketing cycle, and so we all work together, and everybody in this group has a role in it, and you guys do what you do so well. And so that's why I encourage you guys, get together, have coffee with each other, because these are the people that when you get to the end of what you do, these are the people that you send all the other stuff to, because now they're so good at what they do, and they fit in what we do. So, Susan, you had a thought?
Yes, big champion for Kristen and everything that she's talking about with sales. I'm curious if you're seeing a pattern. I have two questions. The first one, are you seeing a pattern change in those 7 to 11 touches and what's working more recently, and if that's different than maybe a time period before, earlier in the year, last year, whatever the time period is? Are you seeing that shift?
I haven't. I mean, phone calls are definitely the way to a person's heart. It seems like phone calls work. I mean, Sherry's coming next, so this speaks right to Sherry, what she does. I mean, phone calls are not, if you want to close business and get referrals, phone calls are it. But I have seen a lot of emails really resonate, but the email is not a long email anymore. It's a short email to the point, and it's not at all about the sale. And that's what works.
Yeah.
It's just letting them know you care about their business and what's going on in their business, and you're willing to go above and beyond. Those kinds of emails seem to work well, but not like the professional email marketing, like the pretty picture. It's like literally a personal note to them.
Yep.
And it's about them. It's not anything automated. It's very personalized.
And that's part of the sales training that you were talking about earlier, is teaching those sales teams to really understand what relationship building communications is all about versus hard sell all the time. The only other comment I wanted to add is, the training of, and getting salespeople involved, including customer facing people in the brand development, et cetera. It's always challenging because it's branding by committee is a tough kind of a no-win situation. It's very hard to manage that. But I also believe that on the other side, that once it is created, that the internal marketing is key to the success of the external marketing. And that element is often missing. I know you talked about doing some of
Yes.
that with some of your clients, but I think the what's in it for everybody in personally in each of their areas, what's in it for them to understand the marketing, what's going on, the branding, why they're an important part of it, I think is really key to success. And I've included that in a lot of, especially in my corporate life.
That's so good. Thank you, Susan. It's such good conversation, guys. Would even love to dig in deeper to this. So think about the tips that are coming out of your conversations now that we can do for next time and continue the conversation. And I do want to jump to Sherry because I know we've got just a few minutes left. So Sherry, speaking of calling people, tell us what you've got.
Well, I want to give you an example. I love following Kristen, so thank you. I was in PowerCore for years. That's how I started my business, how many years ago? But recently, the lists that we call on are so important. And I give clients, information, what have you. And some of them provide a good list, and some of them provide lousy lists. If it's a lousy list and we start calling it, we get blamed for the activity or lack of outcome. So recently, somebody gave me a database of 1,000 from an association that they had just joined. And they want to work with those type of businesses that are in that association. We started that calling last week. We've called about 300 people in that list just once. And we have generated, I think, 12 to 15 of those businesses that said, yes, we're interested. We want your information. Now, to your point, Kristen, are they ready to start working with my client? No, because their needs are satisfied for this year, but their needs are available for 2026. So we'll hopefully continue on with calling on this list, but the outcome is, people want the information. They're going to use it for next year. They're going to pass it on to someone else. So lists are so important to the outcome of these kinds of calling campaigns. So I'm just, I'm very excited to see this. And to your point again, Kristen, it's like I'm going to be talking to my client about all those additional touches that they're going to be needing to do in order to close those prospects. So yes.
So true. Thoughts and questions for Sherry?
How do you get a good list?
That's a good question. Associations are very good when they, are keeping up their membership. Also, I think LinkedIn provides good lists. And I will tell you, I have found a company in the Philippines. We mailed, we called, we emailed. So snail mail, calling, and email, and they all dropped. And so I'm happy to share that information as well. I'll have to dig for it, though. I'll get it back to Stephanie on that.
That would be great. Yeah, absolutely. Susan, you had a thought?
Yeah, I do a lot of list research for clients for account-based prospecting approach for B2B. And I have found that there are lots of books of lists. So every metropolitan area has generally a business magazine, and or sometimes it's a newspaper format, but they send out, and usually the subscription is free. And they publish lists like the top 50 privately held companies, the top law firms, or whatever they are, and you can get the book of lists as part of your subscription at the end of the year. So any metropolitan area tends to have those business publications that run those book of lists.
Yeah.
So good. Absolutely.
But I also agree that industry associations and becoming a member so that you can use the directory to build your prospecting hit list is like number one.
Yes, I agree with you.
So good. Such good tips today, guys. And I forgot at the beginning before we started to take a picture. So if you guys would just indulge me, and thank you, Richard, for mentioning that because Richard has to hop off for a call. But we have such a wonderful group today. So I'm going to just do a quick screenshot and I will count to 3 so you guys can all smile. And we're going to do it twice because somebody will close their eyes. So 1, 2, 3, and we'll do it one more time. And then we'll let you log off after this, Richard, because I know you have a call. Okay, everybody, 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you guys. Guys, this was such a great discussion. And I think that there's so much value in getting together with other really smart marketers just to find out what's going on and just discuss things because that way we're not swimming in our own little isolated marketing bubbles and just knowing what's going on in our field. So thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for bringing tips. So I'm going to put this in the chat. Please come next time. Now is the time. Go ahead and submit your tip for next time. It helps me to know who's actually presenting. And then RSVP so that way we know, put it on your calendar. And we look forward to seeing you guys September 16th. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the SowGrow Marketing Council podcast. Want to be part of our next meeting? Visit SowGrowPR.com. That's SowGrowPR.com and click on the Marketing Council tab to sign up for our next event. Until next time, keep growing